Immortality. It's something that we all strive for, to be remembered long after we have passed. Yet only in the kingdom of heaven will you live forever, as all memories fade over time and deeds are forgotten. Almighty God, into your hands we commend your Son, Henry Wotton, in sure and certain hope of resurrection to eternal life, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Hello, Henry. It's Dorian. I'm sorry I wasn't there for the burial. I thought it would be bad form. No, not with the manner of our parting. I was watching, though. From the trees over there. It looked like a good service. You'd have liked it. Although there was a distinct lack of wailing women throwing themselves onto your casket.
Can I help you, my son?
No, Father. I was just paying my respects to a dear old friend.
I didn't see you at the service.
I felt it best to keep my distance. There are some members of the family who have long memories.
Ah, I see. Did you know Lord Wotton well, Mr.
Grey? And yes, I knew him very well. You might not believe it, Father, but I'm a lot older than I look. I was close to Henry a lifetime ago. I've been away on the continent for a while, but we were the firmest of friends before that.
My son, you can't be older than 20. 21 at best. You would have been just a baby.
Look into my eyes.
I'm sorry?
Look into my eyes. Then tell me how old I am. No? Yeah, I thought not.
I am not in the mood for games, my son. This is a day of bereavement.
Do you think me a playful fool, Father? I grieve harder than anyone else who's been to this graveside today. Harry knew me at my best. When I was innocent, young, pure. I am damned, you see now, Father, damned to live while my friends die like flies around me.
Are you all right, my son? Mr. Grey?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was distracted. That woman over there, the one walking towards the gate, do you know her, Father?
I'm afraid I do not. She was at the funeral, but apart from that, neither of us had met before today. Why?
Well, because she died 30 years ago. Excuse me, Father. Excuse me! You there! Wait! Sybil!
Here you go, sir. 221B Baker Street.
Thank you, my good man. Here, keep the change. Merry Christmas.
Why, thank you kindly, sir. If I may.
Go on.
Well, there was a time when the only reason to come to 221B was to seek help from the great detective Sherlock Holmes. That's not why you're here, is it? Dr. Watson's pieces in the Strand magazine?
Would it matter if I was?
Well, no, not so much. It's just that he's been gone these last 9 or so years. Up sticks and left one day.
Really? Where to?
Well, nobody really knows, to be honest. Some say he's in America, others say he's in Germany. Old Tom says he's a beekeeper in Sussex now, but he drinks a lot, so we ignore him.
I see. And Dr. Watson?
Oh, he still visits from time to time. Keeps a place like a shrine, he does. Almost like he expects a great man to return. So, what brings you to Baker Street, Mr.
Holmes. Sherlock Holmes. And you could say I'm returning.
Blimey! A Merry Christmas to you too then, Mr. Holmes. Wait till my missus hears about this.
Can I help you?
Well, I certainly hope so, Billy.
Glory be! Mr. Holmes! What a surprise. Please, do come inside. Oh, Mrs. Hudson will be so annoyed that she missed you. She still comes by, you know. Would have been such a Christmas present for her.
Indeed. I won't be here long, though, I'm afraid. I'm meeting my brother Mycroft for Christmas dinner, and then I shall be returning home tomorrow.
And Dr. Watson, will he be arriving too?
No, I believe that Dr. Watson will be spending Christmas with his wife's family this year. I felt it best not to disturb him. So, I see that nothing's changed in all the years. Look at this. I wondered where I'd left it.
London misses you, Mr. Holmes.
Unfortunately, Billy, I do not miss London. Thank you for allowing me in. As I said, I won't stay long.
Stay as long as you want, sir. Here's a key, in case you misplace yours. Your bed, as always, is made up in your room.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Holmes? Are you all right? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Come here a moment, would you? See that man across the street?
The one watching this house, sir? You want me to go brush him away?
I just wanted confirmation of his existence. That my mind wasn't playing tricks on me.
Oh, we get a lot of gawkers around here, what with the stories and such like. Oh, wait. He's gone. How do you manage that, then?
It doesn't matter, Billy. I've seen that man before. Not in the flesh, but in photographs. Photographs of a young man yet to become the villain he was destined to be. That man looked exactly the same as Professor James Moriarty, 10 years before we ever met.
Good afternoon and a very Merry Christmas to you. Welcome to the Bentic Hotel. Can I be of assistance?
Yes, I have rooms booked in my name. Grey. My bags should already have arrived.
Great. Yes, we've placed you in the Victoria suite. Your bags were taken up earlier.
And the crate? There should have been a crate with the bags. About so tall?
Yes, sir. As per your wishes, the package was taken to a secure room.
Excellent. Well, in that case, I'd like to...
Sir? Are you all right? My, that's a bad burn on your hand there. Would you like me to call for a doctor?
What do you mean, I don't understand. I can't burn. The paintings... The painting... Quick, man, take me to my crate!
But, sir, you're...
Now, damn it!
You see, sir, it's perfectly safe.
Give me something to open it with. Now, man!
Here, but I don't know what good you think it'll do you.
It's gone. My portrait, it's gone. There's nothing.
Are you saying there's something missing?
Of course there's something missing. Do you think me the kind of man who takes an empty box everywhere he goes? Don't be a fool. There should be a painting in here. Something more valuable to me than life itself. Tell me, has anyone asked for me since this arrived here?
Well, it is one of our busiest seasons, so...
Think, man. Think!
No, wait. There was someone. A woman, early 20s, blonde hair.
A long black coat.
Why, yes. Do you know her?
Oh, I can't. It's impossible. And yet... She was at a funeral I attended. Did you by any chance catch her name?
Wait. I think it was something like... Vane?
Vane.
Do you think she was involved? I'll inform the manager about the theft immediately.
No. No, don't do that. I don't want the police involved. I'll find the thief myself.
How will you do that?
Whoever stole it left me a note, see? And to get the painting back, I have to perform a single task on their behalf.
What sort of task?
An impossible one, I'm afraid. By midnight tomorrow, as Christmas Eve becomes day, I must kill a legend.
Needs new strings. Mrs. Hudson! Of course. Can I assist you, sir?
I need help. Urgently. Tonight. It's a matter of life and death.
I'm afraid that Sherlock Holmes doesn't live here anymore. Perhaps Scotland Yard could assist.
Sherlock, you might not remember me, but we have met before. A great many years back. And I have a very good memory for faces, possibly even as good as yours, so please cease this charade and allow me entrance. I wasn't lying when I said it was a matter of life and death. My name is Dorian Gray. I'm in London because...
Because of Lord Wootton's funeral. Something happened to you there, or directly after, something so shocking that you had to come here to me as soon as you were able, am I correct?
Why, well, yes. How did you know?
Child's play. Your attire, for a start. The flourish in your tie shows a man more used to flamboyant clothing, not suited to the grieving black of a mourner, which goes to prove that you have worn these clothes due to social expectations rather than choice. The cut of the cloth shows a man of wealth and status, indicating a more high-profile funeral, of which Lord Wootton's was the only one today in London. My brother, Mycroft, attended. Also, your shoes are stained with mud, which isn't that surprising considering the state of London's streets. But currently these are covered in layers of snow and ice. To find your shoes marked so, you would have had to stand beside a freshly dug grave, or in the middle of a flower garden, and you do not strike me as a gardener, Mr. Gray.
No, you're right. I'm a traveller.
Most recently Madrid, yes. You have a slight lilt to your accent. Anyone with an ear for language can tell this. So, Mr. Gray, from climes abroad, why must you speak with me so urgently?
Because I'm supposed to kill you, Sherlock.
Then, to be frank, talking to me delays your objective, does it not?
I do not want to kill you.
Ah, well, that is most reassuring. Please come in. I will make a pot of tea while you explain your predicament.
Thank you.
Oh, don't thank me yet. I have 15 minutes before I leave for dinner with my brother. I suspect that I could do with a distraction. Milk?
No, thank you. Lemon, if you have some. Thank you.
So, tell me your story, Mr. Gray.
I have a painting. One that is very important to me, more so than I can tell you. Today it was stolen from me, and in order to get it back, I have to kill you. Tomorrow evening before midnight.
Indeed. And this painting is of what, precisely?
Myself. It was painted over 30 years ago.
Then it could not be of you.
Do not jump to conclusions, Sherlock. Appearances can be deceptive. And I am far older than you would assume.
I never assume, Mr. Gray, but please continue your story.
I fear you may be far too skeptical and close-minded to believe the truth. But the truth, I will tell you, nevertheless. I received this welt on my hand this evening. A burn, as you can see.
Yes?
The note informed me that, to get my attention, they burned a brand into the painting, burning the exact same spot as that welt of mine appeared.
So you're suggesting this painting is somehow linked with you?
Oh, exactly. For decades it's been connected to me in ways I cannot explain. Aging while I remain young, wounds on my skin fade, yet they appear on the picture. I fear that to destroy the picture itself
Could destroy you also?
Yes. You believe my story, then?
Not a word of it. Do continue.
The letter said that in order to regain the painting, I had to take you to Piccadilly Circus tomorrow evening. And there, before midnight, I must brand you a liar whilst executing you in public.
A liar?
That is what the note says. I have it here. Look.
It also says that to prove their intent, they will brand your painting again at 6 p.m. That's very soon, Mr. Gray. You should perhaps make your way to Bart's Hospital. They can assist you when it appears.
You joke at my expense! You don't believe this!
No, but I believe that you believe all this. And that makes this delusion all the more worrying. A man arrives at my door telling me that a magical painting has ensured that, although he is actually the very same age as I, he is destined to remain forever young. But it has been stolen by nefarious means, all to force him to execute me on Christmas Eve. All we need now are Marley and Scrooge, and we have a perfect tale for the fireside. Don't you agree?
We did meet, you know. Back in 1891, when Basil Hallward went missing. Don't you recall?
I recall the case, certainly. Lestrade brought me in. A painter had disappeared. Everyone said that he had had a breakdown of some kind and moved to Paris, but I thought differently. I believed that a chemist named Alan Campbell had murdered Hallward, then used his skills to eradicate the body. If I remember correctly, Lestrade didn't believe me either, and we couldn't find proof of the killing. Campbell walked free.
And killed himself shortly afterwards when news of your deductions damned him in the press, destroying his career and his life.
I never spoke to the press, Mr. Gray, and Watson never wrote it into one of his stories.
And yet, the press found out, and you never denied it. Campbell was falsely branded a murderer.
That Lestrade didn't believe me does not mean that Campbell wasn't Basil Hallward's murderer. It was obvious that he was involved.
Of that you are correct, sir. Alan did indeed dispose of the body, but he was not the one to murder Basil. That was me.
And now you make a mockery of this discussion, sir. Come, let us end this now. I have a dinner to attend.
Do not dismiss me so easily, sir. I stood before you as a witness. You questioned me 3 times about my connection to Basil Hallward, and when the bell strikes 6, you will see proof that my story is true.
As you say. But let us wait for proof while walking. I do not wish to be late to my brother's club.
I was a different man back then. Younger in spirit, if not in looks. I took chances. I was desperate. I blamed Basil for this curse upon me, and taking up one of his palette knives, I stabbed him. Alan was a friend. He owed me a boon, and so I convinced him to remove all traces of the deed.
And the body too?
Yes.
Mr. Gray, I do not understand what you might hope to get out of all this, but the fact of the matter is that you can't have been the killer. You simply are not old enough.
I'll find a way to prove you wrong.
And I look forward to seeing this proof. Now, if you will excuse me, we are at my brother's club.
The Diogenes Club. Nice to be a member, you know. Wait, Sherlock, please, a few moments more.
Really, Mr. Gray, I cannot see what more this charade can bring.
6 o'clock. They said they'd prove they had the painting by branding.
Good God, your cheek.
Now do you believe me?
Beggars believe. Stigmata, perhaps. You believe so strongly that it will happen that your body performs a chemical reaction?
You still don't believe me? Wonderful. A day of drama and of ghosts ends with condemnation and...
What did you say?
A day of drama and ghosts and...
Ghosts?
Not literally, you'll be pleased to hear. More a face from my own past, a woman who cannot possibly exist. Why? Why is that no stranger than all the other things you've heard from me today?
Because this afternoon I saw the same. Someone who cannot be real, and yet... Come to 221B tomorrow at 10, Mr. Gray. We will start the hunt for your painting then. I feel someone plays a game with us both.
You cannot start right now.
My dear man, I have a dinner arrangement, as I've explained to you many times. And as you don't have to kill me until midnight tomorrow, that gives us more than enough time to discover this painting's location. Now, in the meantime, I suggest you get that welt looked at. Tomorrow at 10, Mr. Gray.
But...
Roasted chestnuts, sir.
No, thank you.
Dorian?
Yes? Can I... No. No, it can't be.
It's you. I knew it to be so.
Sybil? But you're dead. You died 30 years ago.
Because of your heartlessness.
No. The prussic acid you drank down like gin. That is what killed you.
Because you spurned me, Dorian. I was in love with you, besotted with you. I gave up everything I cared about because of my love for you, including my life.
I never asked for that.
You never needed to.
You were nothing but a shade, sent to haunt me from the depths of hell itself. How is it that you even exist?
I don't know. It was the painting.
The painting? Where is it? I know you stole it, you craven thief!
I don't know what you...
Oh, don't give me that. You were there at the Bentink. You were seen.
I was looking for you at the hotel, please. I can't breathe. I came to the hotel because I know you always stay there when you're in London. I heard rumours that you were at Henry's funeral. I went to find you there, only you weren't. I couldn't see you.
I know how not to be noticed. What happened to you, Sybil?
As I said, there was a painting. I used all my savings, every penny I could make, to commission a friend of a friend, Basil Hallward, to paint a portrait of me to be given to you as a gift. I received it the day you cast me aside, so I was never able to give it to you.
Basil painted a portrait of you?
Yes. And before I took the acid, all I wished for was to be by your side forever. Somehow, the painting granted this wish. I didn't die when I took the acid. Or rather, I did die, but, well, I got better. I woke up a day later in the morgue. No idea who I was. The poison had affected my senses. I wandered the streets, lost. I was taken into hospital, but with no memory of whom I was. I was placed in care for many years. Years I never aged a single day.
And yet you seem to know me well enough now. What changed?
I read about Basil's disappearance in a paper. Shortly after that, I read of the accidental death of one James Vane, my brother. Suddenly it all came back to me. I left the institution, found my painting in a storeroom at the Moloch Theatre where I'd left it in a corner, gathering dust. And then I left London.
Why didn't you come to me then?
I'd heard that my brother had attacked you in an opium den, and that 3 days later he'd been shot dead at your country estate. I was scared of what you might do to me if you saw me. Would I be murdered too? Could I be?
I didn't kill your brother, Sybil. That truly was an accident.
Of course it was. Nothing is ever your fault. Except, perhaps, Basil's death.
What do you want from me, Sybil? Money? Revenge?
Dorian, I've watched you from afar for 2 decades now. All I want is to share our lives just as we'd always hoped to. Is that too much to ask?
Yes. Besides, after midnight tomorrow, my immortality might be at an end. My portrait has been stolen, and if you're not the thief responsible, I have no clues as to who it could be.
Ah, good morning, Mr. Gray. Do come in.
Thank you, Sherlock.
I trust you had a good evening.
I saw her. Last night.
Who?
Sybil Vane. The ghost we spoke of yesterday. After I left you, I walked through the streets of London, and she found me. I spoke with her. She suffers from the same ailment as I do, Sherlock. She wants to reunite.
I wouldn't recommend that under the circumstances.
No? Well, I don't think she's connected with the theft, if that's what you mean. To all extents and purposes, she is blameless.
That she is here right now shows that she is anything but blameless. But this is by the by. I believe I've made some advances in your predicament.
You found my portrait.
Oh, no, that's the last thing on the list. You see, the fact that your painting was stolen while you were out is not the surprising thing, nor is the fact that you have been instructed to kill me.
It isn't.
Not at all. The surprising thing is that someone was able to plan this blackmail and theft on a man who hasn't been in London for close to 20 years, so you say, and selected a target who has shunned London for close to a decade. Two people who, by pure happenstance, are now in London at the very same time. But I ask myself, how could they be sure that I, a man who has avoided this city for so long, would be here the very same day that you return from your self-imposed exile?
Oh no. Henry.
Exactly. Lord Henry Wotton's funeral. Every year my brother Mycroft visits me at my house in Sussex for Christmas dinner, except that this year we changed plans, all so he could attend Lord Wotton's funeral, thus ensuring my attendance in London. And you, Mr. Grey, returning to the city after such a long absence.
Because of the funeral. And Sybil came too, knowing I'd attend it. So Henry was murdered just to ensure we'd all be in the right place at the right time.
I cannot be sure, but I called in some favours from a friend of mine at the Yard and have examined the coroner's report on Lord Wotton's death. Although it was at the time classed as natural, there are enough discrepancies to allow for the possibility that he was murdered by chemical means. And they knew that you would have your painting with you, so ensured you would be absent, thereby enabling its theft. They knew you could not resist Lord Henry's funeral. That gave them at least an hour.
All of this so I could be forced to kill you publicly, and to take the blame for it.
While at the same time calling me a liar, remember that? It shows that our criminal has a vendetta against both of us, as well as knowledge of the painting.
But the only connection we have is Basil's death.
Where I named Alan Campbell as his murderer, a deduction ignored by the police, yet taken up by the tabloid press.
Did Alan have a son, perhaps? 20 years on, he might be old enough to seek revenge.
It is possible. My associates on the force will investigate the Bentinck on our behalf, while I have avenues of investigation of my own I wish to explore.
And what of me? It's my life on the line here.
My dear Mr. Grey, I would vehemently suggest that you take some rest in your hotel room. I fear that today is going to be a long and arduous one.
Oh, to hell with that! I'm not just going to stand around all day waiting for the clock to strike midnight.
Then I suggest you take in a matinee, then wait for a missive from me to arrive at your hotel before 6 o'clock this evening. Leave the detective work to the detectives, Mr. Grey. I believe you know your way out.
Fine, then. I, too, have a couple of avenues of my own I might explore.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes. Is the master of the house in?
Who should I say is calling?
Mr. Grey. He won't be expecting me.
One moment, sir. He says he'll see you in the library. Please, if you'll allow me to...
No, it's okay. I know the way.
Can I help you? The maid told me you wish to speak to me.
Yes, thank you, and I'm terribly sorry to bother you on this day. My name is Dorian Grey. This was once the home of Basil Hallward, unless I'm mistaken. He was a friend of my family.
I see. And you wish to come and visit for nostalgia's sake?
Yes, but just one room. The one that was once his studio.
I'm afraid I don't know which way.
Oh, that's quite all right, because I do, Mr...
Please, just call me James. And by all means, if you already know the way, lead on. Ah, my upstairs day room. Of course it would be here. The best light in the house, or at least in the summer.
Yes. Well, his easel would be around here. The subject there.
And how would you know all this?
My father told me. I think I must have visited when I was younger. A very long time ago.
It must have been. Basil went to Paris, so they say.
So I'm told.
You don't believe the stories?
If that is what people believe, who am I to dispute them?
Indeed, Mr. Grey. So, tell me, what really brings you to this house? Apart from a link to a long-gone artist you couldn't possibly have known.
I don't know, really. I just felt I had to come. Pay my respects.
Apologize, perhaps?
I'm sorry?
You bear the look of a guilty man, Mr. Grey. Apologizing to a long-dead house won't absolve you of your sins. You realize that.
Well, I think I've seen enough now. Thank you for your time, James. Please, forgive the intrusion.
Basil was an amazing painter, you know. He painted some of the most important people in the world at his peak.
You knew him?
Of him. By reputation, certainly. But then I know a lot of people by reputation, Dorian. How was Madrid, incidentally? And before that, Paris, yes? For them to evict you from the city of bohemian excess, you must have been a bad, bad boy.
How dare you speak like that?
How dare I? You walk into my home and play the innocent about the man you stabbed to death. How dare you, sir?
I did no such thing.
And poor Alan Campbell, to be used and abused once more by you. You do know that he loved you.
What?
Basil. He loved you so much, yet never felt he could tell you. And Dorian, vain, selfish Dorian, never gave an ounce of affection back.
I really think I should leave.
Sit down. You're nothing special to me, Dorian Gray. There are countless like you out there, all tired of life, too scared to die. But die you will one day. Eventually all things die. It's how you choose to perish that makes you different.
Please, let me leave.
Tick tock, Mr. Gray. That's a nasty burn on your cheek. You'd better not let anything else happen to your precious portrait. It would be such a shame to lose another of Basil's classics.
No, please.
Do not resist your nature, Dorian. Don't try to play the hero.
Stop!
Ah, there you are, sir. I wonder where you got to. The master said he'd receive you in the library, not up here.
But he was right here, a moment ago.
Oh, I don't think so, sir. This is up the stairs, and my master has trouble with those since his accident. Are you quite well, sir?
Tell me your master's name. What is it?
Sidney Lewis, sir.
Not James Lewis.
Well, we don't have no James here, sir. Why? Hey, where do you think you're going? My master! Oh.
Hot chestnut, sir?
No, thank you.
Very well, sir. Have a happy Christmas and remember to kill Sherlock Holmes.
What?
Hello, my lovely. Care for a dance? Only sixpence for a charmer such as you.
No, please go away.
Through the art, Dorian, ending quick.
What did you say?
I said I ain't no tart, and you look sick.
Oh, watch where you're going.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
You will be if you don't fulfill the deal.
What deal? What do you mean? Tell me, man.
Get off me, I said you could do with a hot meal. You all right? You're sweating buckets. You sick or something? Go on, get on me, chap.
Please. Help. What's wrong with me?
Here, Dorian, come rest here with me.
Sybil, I'm dying, I think.
Poppycock. When was the last time you ate? Probably yesterday, right? Let's get you fed, then we'll see how close to death you really are.
Billy! You left the front door open. I assume from the lack of response that Billy is not in fact here, and that somebody else is waiting in my study? Aha. As I suspected, I wondered how long it would take you to show your hand.
Mr. Holmes, it is a pleasure as always. How long must it have been now?
Well, as I'm quite convinced we've never actually met, I'm suggesting forever as the answer to that conundrum.
Are you sure about that, Holmes? Are you truly unable to recognize me? Granted, there is more hair on my head than you might be accustomed to. My lines have been smoothed away.
Please do not take me for a fool, sir. You are quite obviously trying to play a charade on me, and I will admit you do bear a passing resemblance to a young James Moriarty. But he died 20 years ago. And I fear you're easily far too young to play the part. A son, perhaps? No. Somehow I think not.
You aim to deduce me. Excellent. I'm aquiver with anticipation. Do your best, detective. Tell me what I am.
Thank you. I needed that.
I could tell. What with you staggering around, shouting at people. What was wrong with you?
I think you'll find that there's still a lot wrong with me.
Nothing that can't be sorted, if you've the time. And we have all the time in the world now. Dorian?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid we don't. It is already afternoon on Christmas Eve, and a little under 12 hours' time, I'm due to die.
You still haven't found the painting?
No. And the task I must perform to regain it is far too costly.
Why? What must you do?
Sybil, look at me. You know who I truly am and the things I've done. You've experienced them firsthand. Dreadful things, horrific, terrible things. But I want to change. To be normal, really I do.
What aren't you telling me, Dorian?
I killed an artist, Basil Hallward. Stabbed him in a fit of selfish rage. Then I blackmailed an associate of mine into disposing of the body as best he could. The police believed that Basil had continued with his plans of leaving for Paris, which I encouraged, but they called in a special consultant, a man named Sherlock Holmes.
Him out of the stories?
Yes. Sherlock saw through my deeds, but mistakenly assumed that Alan had disposed of Basil's body after he had committed the murder. The police ignored Sherlock's theory, classing it as a missing persons case instead, but a reporter was told of Holmes' beliefs and Alan was hounded. His wealthy wife divorced him, his peers eventually spurned him, and then he killed himself.
But that happened almost 20 years ago. What does it matter?
Because the man who has stolen the painting requires me to kill Sherlock Holmes in public, while stating him a liar. An act that would ruin both him and me. I would, no doubt, be arrested for Sherlock's murder. Then they'll try me, sentence me to death. Maybe even hang me. Oh, how long could a man who cannot die hang, do you think? Before someone notices he's not dying.
Is it that you must take the life of a good man that stops your end? Or the thought of certain arrest?
Certain arrest? To hell with Holmes. I only met him properly yesterday anyway. True, I'd prefer to do neither, if I can help it. So, until 6 o'clock this evening, I must await a message about my future. To see what can be salvaged.
And if nothing arrives? If Holmes fails you?
I don't know.
No? Well, I do. Return to the Benting. I will send you a package, a gun. If nothing arrives by 6 o'clock, telegram Holmes and tell him to meet you tonight at 9 o'clock in Piccadilly. Then perform the task you've been asked to perform.
Murder him? And then what?
I will arrange for some men to be in Piccadilly also. I know a group of ex-policemen. When you kill Holmes, they will shoot you.
And how is that in any way better than the alternative?
You're immortal, Dorian. The men will claim they did it to save civilians. They'll probably get medals. Whereas you will be taken to the morgue, where, hopefully not long after...
The portrait will restore me safe and well. Is it worth it, though, I wonder?
Dorian?
Immortality really isn't all it's believed to be, Sybil. You think that having more years grants you the time to experience more, but instead you find yourself trapped, experiencing the same dull, tedious situations you did the week before. And the week before that, and that, and that. Will there ever be any light on the horizon?
That's rather morose, Dorian. You just never had the right person to experience it with, that's all.
Perhaps. What is it they say? I shall do my friends no wrong, for I have none to lament me. The world no injury, for in it I have nothing. Only in the world I fill up a place, which may be better supplied when I have made it empty.
That's beautiful. Where's it from?
Shakespeare. As you like it. Now, with your permission, I should make to the Bentinck and await my fate. Whichever of them awaits me. If I need you, how can I contact you?
I'll send to you, Dorian. Do not fret. It'll all be over tonight.
Indeed. On that we are agreed.
It's not like you to stand so silent, Holmes. Can it really be you dispute the evidence of your own eyes? Age must be catching up with you.
Please, my mental faculties are just as sharp now as they were back then, if not more so.
Years of keeping bees on a Sussex manor can sharpen you as fine as any case. Do not lie to me, detective. I see you as you truly are. Old, forgotten, broken.
Yet still alive, unlike you. What do you think to accomplish, sir, pretending to be the younger incarnation of a dead man?
Believe me, there is no pretense, Holmes. I am James Moriarty, reborn and new.
Professor Moriarty died at the Reichenbach Falls. I do not dispute the proof of my own eyes.
Indeed, you're right, I did. After you wrote that sickeningly sweet letter to Watson, I charged at you. I knew my time was up, you see. I had made arrangements already. I had hoped to take you with me, and my failure in that respect still nags at me.
How Moriarty died is public knowledge, thanks to Dr. Watson's stories. You could have gleaned that from numerous sources.
True. But before you wrote Watson the letter, I explained to you how I had performed my criminal activities, remember?
I remember. Moriarty telling me, that is.
You never told Dr. Watson. And the information was never written down. So here, read this. I wrote down as much as I could remember of the conversation. Do you concur with my statement?
Yes. This is correct. But how could you possibly know?
Because, you poor age-addled fool, I am James Moriarty. The deal I made kept me young, vibrant, even after the rocks at the bottom of the Reichenbach shattered my spine to 100 pieces. Pieces that later knitted together renewed themselves as I did.
James Moriarty is dead.
In that case, show me the body. Come, Holmes, surely that isn't too difficult. But then, the body was never found, was it? What is it that you always say about improbable things?
Whether you are or aren't a younger James Moriarty is irrelevant at this moment, sir. What is relevant is the reason for your trespass.
Oh, I thought that would be quite obvious to a detective of your standing.
You wish to kill me? Attack me?
Oh, my dear Holmes, I don't want to kill you at all. In fact, I want to help you.
Mr. Gray, I hope you have enjoyed your afternoon.
Please, has anything arrived for me? A message, a telegram, anything?
Indeed, something did arrive for you. Came just a few minutes ago.
Really? Where? What does it say?
Oh, it was taken to your room, sir. Package. About yay big. Heavy, too.
I see. No, I was hoping for something else. Have you the correct time? I fear my pocket watch might be slow.
5 minutes to 6, sir.
I see. Well, in that case, I shall... Is that a different painting on the wall?
That? Yes, we changed it last night. The other one needed to be cleaned. Not many people notice the difference, what with the frame being the same size and everything.
Well, I'm not like many people. Tell me, if I need to send a missive to Baker Street, what might be the best way?
Oh, we can do that for you, sir. What do you need sent?
Nothing. Yet. Tell me, the messenger who brought the package, is he still here?
Well, it was one of the regulars. Let me see. Yes, there, the lad with the red hair.
Thank you. You there! Boy,
Yes, sir.
I'm the person you brought the package for a few moments ago, and I have a couple of quick questions for you.
Oh, I don't know, sir. I wasn't told about no questions.
Oh, I think this should help. So, the person who gave you the package to bring, what did they look like?
Woman, sir. Blonde. Right pretty too.
And where did you pick it up from her?
Outside the stage door of the Moloch Theatre, sir. It's in the...
Oh, don't worry, I know the theatre well, thank you. I hope the payment ensures this conversation never happened.
What conversation, sir?
Good lad. Now, if you'd be so kind, I have another message for you.
Look at you, Holmes. Once the brightest and the best, the only man who could ever defeat me. Now you are old, withered, dying.
Everything has to die, sir.
Wrong. Only the tawdry, the small-minded, the boring deserve to die. People like us, we should be gods, immortalized forever. Imagine, Holmes, to be able to solve crime forever.
It sounds rather tiring, truth to tell.
But think about it. Your mind is slowing. You know it. Thoughts are harder to gather, faces harder to recognize, your fingers slow and clumsy, your body old and feeble. You can't be the man you once were, and London knows. Is that why you left it, Holmes?
You cannot turn back the clock. Life marches on.
But what if you could? To be forever young, vibrant, alive. Think of all the criminals who have gone free since you left Baker Street. Imagine being able to stop them, always at your prime, never aging, never slowing, forever. London's savior eternal.
These things are impossible. A scientific mind ignores the dreams and fantasies.
Listen to you, the scared detective. I offer you greatness and you try to rationalize it.
I have to. What you speak of is madness. It is the stuff of fairy tales.
Even fairy tales have a basis in fact, Holmes. You know that. You can have this, all of this. All you need to do is one small, simple thing. Sell your soul to me. After all, if you live forever, why would you need it?
Sacrifice my soul to save this city. It is a temptation. But it can't.
Go on, Sherlock Holmes. Say yes.
No. Whether you are a madman or really my old nemesis reborn or something else entirely, I tell you no. I will not believe in stories or hide from shadows, and whatever game you play to delay me past the hour is now over. Please, sir, leave my home.
I'd get that if I was you. It might be important.
Will you be here when I return?
You are a rational man facing the irrational. You already know I will be gone.
I see. Very well. Hello? Ah.
Message to Mr. Sherlock Holmes from Mr. Dorian Gray. Pleased to meet him at the Eros statue, Piccadilly Circus, at 9 o'clock this evening.
Thank you, boy. Here, a shilling for your troubles. Happy Christmas. How very interesting.
Come on. Come on. Where are you, Dorian?
I'm right here, Sybil.
Where have you been? You were supposed to be here an hour ago. It's almost 10. Holmes has almost left twice.
No, he hasn't. I sent a lad to him not half an hour back, telling him I was delayed. Of course, that rather begs the question of why you are still here.
I was concerned for you.
For which I am most grateful. But I don't want you anywhere near me when this occurs. If the police should take you in for questioning, I'd rather you had an alibi. Please, pretend to the theatre. I'm sure that one of your men will inform you of the outcome.
How did you know I was there?
My dear Sybil, where else would you be? It was the place you felt most comfortable in while living. And of course, you even killed yourself there. So romantic.
I should stay.
And yet you won't.
Fine, I'll go. But you must fulfill the deed. There are only 2 hours left before Christmas morning.
2 hours are more than enough time to finish this. Now go. Right then. Time to do this. Sherlock Holmes?
Ah, young Mr. Grey. I assume that in arranging to meet me here, you have chosen the path along which you would have your life continue.
Have you found my painting yet?
Well, I believe I know where the painting is, but as yet have not been able to prove this to be exact.
So that's a no, then?
And this is how it ends. Staring down the barrel of a revolver.
I'm sorry, Sherlock. Truly. But after 30 years of immortality, I am accustomed to some of the benefits it can afford me. And if you haven't found the painting...
I understand.
Thank you. Sherlock Holmes, I brand you a liar!
I swear, as I left, I heard gunshots.
We should have stayed to make sure.
He wouldn't have gone through with it if I was there. Besides, if anyone had seen you there, we'd both have a lot of explaining to do.
Oh, I think the time for explanations is now well overdue, don't you?
Dorian!
I did what you asked of me, Sybil. I now expect my portrait to be returned to me. I assume it's under that cloth, up there on the stage? The Moloch Theatre. How our lives always bring us melodramatically back here.
Stay right there, Dorian. Don't come any closer, or I swear I'll destroy the painting.
Alan Campbell as I live and breathe. So you stole the painting and set all this up, yes?
My men had orders to shoot you the instant you killed Holmes.
Ah, yes. Well, about that, I'm afraid I didn't actually shoot him. Sherlock?
You!
Once I realized that you had faked your own suicide, Mr. Campbell, piecing together this torrid affair wasn't all that difficult.
You should be dead, Holmes.
As should each of us, so I gather. But please, let me continue. You see, it was simply a matter of discovering why you had to disappear in the first place. Alan Campbell, a wealthy and respected chemist, married to a rather prominent socialite. What information could Dorian Gray possibly have had over you to make you perform such a dreadful task?
I'm all ears, Mr. Holmes.
The woman beside you, Sybil Vane, better known to some as Gemma Martindale, your daughter.
Illegitimate daughter?
What would have happened if society had discovered your bastard child? You would have been shunned, divorced, penniless, your once good name in tatters. Yet the task that you performed because of this secret caused this to occur regardless. And so you embezzled what you could from your good wife's estate, hid it where nobody could find it, and then committed suicide. A quite lethal collection of poisons, I do believe. Lethal, that is, unless you are a genius chemist. All you had to do then was forge your new identity, reunite with your daughter, and plan your revenge upon myself and Mr. Gray here.
But why, Alan? Why bring her into it?
Indeed. You could have performed this just as easily alone.
Because Dorian never does anything unless he believes there's something in it for him. Gaining his painting back was one thing, but to convince him that his long-dead love had returned? That was the icing on the cake.
Except it failed to convince me.
No, you believed me, I know it.
Oh, I admit that you bear a remarkable resemblance to a young Miss Sybil Vane, I can't deny it. And enough to stir old memories. But you are certainly not her. I have a memory for faces, you see, yet still, I couldn't be sure I needed something more. I received that the moment I quoted Shakespeare to you. A line spoken by Rosalind, a character Sybil played on the very stage you stand upon right now. A line you did not recognize.
Shakespeare.
Though that was not the only thing to rouse my suspicions. That I had an attack of the nerves immediately before you arrived to bring me back to a level head. I assume you had someone prick me with a toxin from your father's case? And then the drink you bought me held the antidote? Very well done. And almost flawless. Using Sybil's brother's death as an excuse to make me feel untrusted, to force me to gain trust when instead you should be doing so. Exemplary.
You think you're so smart now, Dorian. Piecing it all together. You forget I still have your portrait, and I will have my revenge!
Campbell, put down the lamp!
I should have done this years ago! To Hades with you, Dorian! At least I'll have the pleasure of watching you burn!
No! Not the painting, no! Please! Please, stop it!
What? No! Why are you laughing? Stop this!
My dear man, I can't. You see, I'm afraid you've just torched a perfectly vile painting of a hussar on a rather ugly horse.
No! It was your portrait!
Ah, well, yes, it was. But not by the time you returned. I knew before arriving that you were behind this. And so I spoke with Sherlock by means of messenger. I needed to ensure that both of you were away from this place. I knew that neither of you could bear to miss the execution. And so, as you left, I made my way down into the theatre storeroom, found a similarly sized painting to that of my portrait, and placed that under the cloth instead. It was an idea given to me early today at the Bentinck Hotel.
So where's your painting now?
Somewhere safe. I also found the other painting, Alan. The sketch Basil made of Sybil Vane for Henry Wotton, the one you based your daughter's appearance on. The sketch Henry kept in his study.
The sketch you took the day you murdered Henry Wotton?
No! You cannot prove that!
Actually, I can and will. For years you have waited for Lord Wotton's life of excess to bring his own life to a premature end, living in this abandoned theatre. I saw the deeds, bought the week after your so-called death. But then as the years moved on, your daughter aged more and more, soon to be past the age that Sybil was when she died. Christmas was coming again, and so you decided to expedite matters.
You poisoned him, Alan. All to draw the two of us together.
I had to. Holmes was rotting away keeping bees, for God's sake. And who knows what depravities you were up to. I had to be the one that did this. I did!
If you knew all this, why wait to see it through? You could have stopped this earlier. You could have just taken your painting.
Because when Mr. Grey here came to me with plans for my execution, we realized that this was a good opportunity to make more than 2 arrests. And so we let the charade continue, even to the point where Dorian fired the gun. It was empty, of course, but I still have a few old colleagues down at the yard. I had men in plain clothes stationed throughout the area, and the moment any of your men raised a weapon, they were swiftly arrested.
Your men are gone, Alan. Your plan has failed. And now, for the murder of Henry, I'm afraid you both must face trial.
And what of you? You killed Basil Hallward, or had you forgotten? Don't let him play the innocent, Sherlock Holmes. I know he murdered Hallward because he entrusted me to dispose of the body. If I must hang, then so does he!
Only, as Sherlock has pointed out to me far too many times now, I'm not old enough to have murdered Basil Hallward? Did you say his name was? Thank you for confessing to your part in the crime, however. There are officers stationed outside to take you away.
Indeed. But one last thing. I understand you tried to send Mr. Grey mad before the deed, but why did you think that sending me a younger Moriarty would have the same effect?
I'm sorry?
The intruder in my house. I assume you too sent him?
We did no such thing, Mr. Holmes. The only thing we planned for you was certain death.
Interesting. Goodbye then, Mr. Campbell, Miss Martindale. Officers! Come along now, Mr. Grey.
Dorian Gray! I curse you!
Oh, Alan, haven't you heard? I ate curses for breakfast. I can't thank you enough for your help these past few days.
To be frank, Mr. Grey, you had already come by most of the deductions before I gave you final confirmation. If anything, I must thank you for proving a 20-year-old deduction of mine to be correct.
Consider it a Christmas gift. So, where will you go now? Stay here in Baker Street, or...?
Back to Sussex, yes. My bees need attending. You?
I don't know yet. For a moment, I believed Gemma. I wanted to believe that she was Sybil, that we could have a life together. It made me want to change, to then discover that it was all lies.
That shouldn't stop you wanting to change, Mr. Grey.
True. So, do you believe me yet? That I truly am the man I claim to be?
There are some things that can never be explained. I'll grant you that.
That's not a yes or a no.
No, it isn't, is it?
Agreed. One last thing. That man you believed Alan had sent here, was his name James by any chance?
Yes. Or so he claimed. Why?
Because I met a similar man yesterday. One moment there, the next, gone. Be careful. Whoever or whatever that was. It wanted something from both of us. And as yet, whatever that is, remains unclaimed.
It was just another man, as any other, I am sure.
And I am not. I have seen things, Sherlock. Things you wouldn't believe. And once they have your scent, they'll stop at nothing. They'll hound you to the gates of hell itself.
Then I promise you, I shall keep watching the shadows.
You humor me. And I confess, I understand why such a rational such as yourself would do so. But we both know there are things in this world that rationale cannot explain. Truth can be stranger than fiction.
As a certain notorious novel might attest. Thank you for giving me such diverting entertainment, Mr. Grey. You are a most intriguing character.
Thank you. I shall take that as a compliment, coming as it does from Sherlock Holmes. It truly was an honor to meet you.
And you, Dorian. Fare you well.
Until the next time. Oh, Sherlock?
Yes?
Merry Christmas.